We are the Gartside family.
Who are you?
I'm Cherry.
And this is?
Noah.
And this is?
James.
Micah.
I'm Dad, Ken.
Daddy.
Okay,
And
so
we
let's
have
hear your
two
story.
more kids
Two more children, wow!
with my grandmother right now.
Okay.
Their name is Saz and Ned.
Alright, so tell us about who has the injury.
Well, we pretty much consider 3 of our children injured. Silas isn't with us tonight, and bringing them all would have just been too much. But
Boring.
Micah here, she's got ADHD pretty severely, and she is our fun, spirited one who we love her energy, and it never ends. But we thank God for that. James here is the one that we're going to talk about tonight.
Okay.
Aww.
He has autism. He's high on the spectrum, which I couldn't be more thankful for. It all started when he was 4 months old and he was vaccinated. Afterwards, he got this really high fever, and everything about his disposition changed. Everyone is telling me, oh, that's normal, babies get really high fevers after vaccines, he's fine, everything's fine. And his lasted for days. And I was thinking, he's not fine, this isn't right. You know, okay if he has a fever for a night, but for days, and he started sleeping more, and everything about him was just different. And so by the time he turned 5 months old, he was rocking himself back and forth continuously and doing this hand flapping every time he would get super excited, or if he would get mad, or just any kind of emotion, he was flapping his hands and he was rocking himself back and forth. And I'm asking people, why is he doing this? You know, I've never seen a baby do this before. Everybody's telling me, oh, that's normal, all babies rock themselves when they want to. And I'm thinking, if all babies rock themselves, why have I never seen it? And so, nobody once said, did he have a vaccine? Did he start acting differently after a vaccine? Nobody even thought that that is even an option. I didn't think it was an option. I didn't know. And so his head at that time was growing faster and larger than the rest of his body. I took him to the pediatrician. I said, I think this is odd that his head seems so large. And I take him around other children and they have normal heads, and his is like the size of a 5-year-old. And I mean, if you took him to the store and fitted him for a helmet for a bicycle, you'd have to buy him an adult helmet. He was 5 months old. And so they did a CT scan on his head and found that he had a tumor growing in his brain. And it just shocked me, because here's my baby. They're telling me he's got a tumor in his brain, and nobody knows why. Everybody's telling me he's fine, everything's okay, there's nothing wrong with him. And I kept vaccinating him every month. He was right on the schedule. Every single vaccine he was supposed to get, he got it. And all these things keep happening to him, and nobody questions it. I didn't question it, because questioning vaccines isn't what you do. You know, vaccines are safe, vaccines are fine. Nothing happens to you if you're vaccinated. And so it wasn't until he was 18 months old and he climbed out of his crib and hit his head, and we had to rush him to the hospital, and we ended up being medevaced to Johns Hopkins. They found that he had cracked his skull and he had bleeding on his brain. So after that whole ordeal, and we finally got to take him home, a specialist came out to the house, and a physical therapy specialist and a speech specialist came to the house. And she tested him to see if he had any delays and anything like that. And most people that meet James for the first time, they don't see anything. They think he's all right. You know, everything's fine. Nothing is out of the norm. Which we know you're all right, buddy. And I had to bring it up to her that I found all these things that didn't seem right to me. The hand flapping, the rocking. He was nonverbal. He couldn't tell me that he was thirsty. He couldn't tell me he needed a bottle. And at 18 months old, he should have been able to do that, and he wasn't walking yet either. He didn't start crawling until he was 11 months. And so, after I pointed it out to her, and I said, when he turned a year old, he got a toy for his birthday that is the shapes, and you put them in the correct holes. They can only go in the box if they go through the correct holes. He got that for his birthday. I opened it, I sat him on the floor, I put it in front of him, and I just said, here you go, James, and I put each one in the right hole, dumped it out, and he left it there for him to play with. I figured he'd pick them up and try to eat them, like any 1-year-old. He picked them up, and one by one, put them directly in the correct holes. And I said, honey, James knows how to do this. I only showed him one time. How does he know how to do this? And everyone is saying, oh, he's so smart. He's just very smart. And I'm thinking, yeah, he is very smart, but he shouldn't be this smart. Not yet, anyway. He can't even tell me he needs a bottle, but he can do this puzzle like he's done it a million times. And so I brought that up to the physical therapist, and that's when she noticed, okay, you're right, he shouldn't be able to do that. So through more testing and all, you know, everything that she had to do, we ended up finally getting the diagnosis that he had autism. Everyone would tell me, oh, it's just from his injury, from his accident, from hitting his head, that's how he got autism. But I've known all along, from the time he turned 5 months old, that something wasn't right.
So do you continue to vaccinate your other children now?
No. Our 2 youngest are completely 100% vaccine free.
And can you see the difference between the vaccine?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He didn't walk till he was 18 months. He didn't talk till long after that. She didn't walk till she was 14 months. The moment that she was vaccine injured, she was 2 weeks old. And I took her in to get her shots. And that night she became so ill. She had 103 fever and climbing. I rushed her to the hospital and we spent the night there. The doctors were telling me that she developed a respiratory infection. And it was just hours after we'd gotten home from the pediatrician, hours after her shots. We spent the whole night. They were telling me that they were going to put an IV in her and that I was going to have to stop breastfeeding because she was getting dehydrated and that she was going to have to go on formula. And nobody once said, did she have vaccines today? You know, this could just be a reaction from the vaccine. And so I kept vaccinating her. And our 3rd son, when he was born, he was vaccinated. And he, every single night, like clockwork, he would scream for 4 hours. Just scream. And I didn't know why my baby was screaming. And I would try to feed him, and he wouldn't want to eat, and everyone's saying, oh, that's just colic. Well, you know, colic, in my opinion, is a vaccine injury. That's what colic is. Babies are not supposed to just scream for no reason.
Why is there a light?
No reason. He wasn't cold, he wasn't wet, he wasn't hungry, he wasn't hurt, and he would just scream and scream and scream. And when I got pregnant with our 4th child, I had 3 traumatic hospital births with them, and I thought, I can't do this again. There has to be a better way. and I looked into home birth. And so I was planning a home birth with her. And through that, I met moms that had been there, had children that were vaccine injured. And they opened my eyes and they told me. It just broke my heart so bad because here I had vaccinated 3 of my children and they had signs, their bodies were telling me, please stop putting these poisons in our bodies. And I didn't see it. It wasn't until I met those moms that I finally opened my eyes and understood that my children didn't have to be this way, that there were better options, and the best option was to not vaccinate. So when my daughter was born at home, she did not get the vitamin K, she did not get the Hep B vaccine, she did not get a single vaccine. She's 3 years old today, completely and 100% vaccine free. And so is Noah. He is almost 13 months old, completely vaccine free. He was also born at home, and that's our story.
Thank you, that is a really important story. I think everyone really appreciates so much you telling it. And I'm pretty sure this story will save other babies.
That's what I hope. Through this, if nothing else, I just want to spare another baby from a vaccine injury that they didn't need to have.
Well, by telling this story, you certainly will do that.
You're not.